As a consequence, the global community today, as I said earlier, suffers from the leadership deficit, and so the global economy in short supply of public goods, such as stable financial and exchange rate regime. So, given this current situation, what can you do about it? Well, undoubtedly, the changed global power structure demands a new global governance system. First of all, its institutional infrastructure, which has been in place since the 1940s, has to be adjusted to make it politically more legitimate and operationally more effective. Certainly, the Bretton Woods institutions and G8 are cases in point. From this perspective, I personally think the President Sarkozy's proposal to expand G8 to G13 or G14 is in the right direction. Having said this, I must say that the selection of countries to be included in this expanded group should be more, the countries to be included should be carefully selected. The selection should be based on the criteria of both economic weights and their possible contributions towards sound global governance system. Of course, I have obvious reason, but based on the both accounts, I personally think that Korea should be considered to be included in the group. With regard to the reform of the Bretton Woods institutions, the key issues include the selection of heads of the Bretton Woods institutions and the distribution of voting rights and executive board seats. As for the voting rights, the 2006 IMF World Bank meeting in Singapore did adjust the quota of some of the underrepresented countries, including China, Mexico, Turkey, and Korea. But still, major emerging economies' weight are not yet fully reflected. My second point regards the regional level endeavors to supplement the currently weak global governance system. In the provision of public goods, there are certain things to be done at the global community level. Since the leadership is not there, what I'm saying here is that we need to do more at the regional level to supplement the public goods supply gap. So in this regard, the global community as a whole should encourage rather than discourage any regional the endeavors. Of course, the regional arrangement should be operated on the principles which are consistent with the multilateral institutions. In this particular case, the principles of IMF. So what we need to do as a global community is make sure that these regional arrangements operated on the same the modus operandi of the multilateral institutions. In this regard, I would like to say that the so-called Chiang Mai initiative of ASEAN +3, which was studied as a network of bilateral swap arrangements and was recently agreed among the ASEAN +3 countries to pool and expand the resources, evolve into eventually a full-fledged regional monetary facility, provided its mode of operation remains consistent with the principles of the IMF. At the same time, I personally felt that the recent idea of creating a EU community-wide fund to deal with the current banking crisis is not a bad idea. Okay, now let me make a few points regarding the current financial crisis. My first point is that the current financial crisis should not be seen as a failure of the liberal financial system itself. Rather, the inappropriate and poorly implemented supervision and the regulatory regime was to be blamed for the current crisis, if I may say so. We all learned from the 1997-98 Asian financial crisis a very important lesson. The lesson was that in the financial market, prudent supervision and the regulations are absolutely necessary to make the financial market function more efficiently. It suggests that in liberalizing financial markets, particularly in emerging economies, a right sequencing is critically important. More specifically speaking, before liberalizing financial market, it is necessary to have a prudent supervisory and regulatory infrastructure in place and supervisory capability building endeavors. As a matter of fact, there is a consensus among economists and policymakers now. A Big Bang approach in liberalizing financial markets are no longer recommended. In this regard, I suppose the so-called Washington consensus on this very point is now modified. So what economists in general recommend is an orderly and well-sequenced liberalization of financial markets and capital accounts.